afternoon, good evening, everybody. It is Dorothy, your host, again, back with another episode of Death in Cambodia, Life in America. I am so excited to have a new guest to present to you guys today. You guys have probably seen her all over socials, Alissa Iris. She is this beautiful Los Angeles-based model, actress, and cultural writer who loves to explore beauty, media, and modern womanhood. Her work centers around Southeast Asian LGBT representation, as long as collaborating with all different types of global brands out there. I'm sure you guys have heard of many of them that she's worked with. She started creating at 12 years old in the hometown in Central Valley, where she found the internet to be her creative outlet and studio. Today, she has modeled for Fenty, Levi's, Nike, ULTA, YSL Beauty, and so many more amazing brands. She also had starred in her debut film, an award-winning short film, Kingdom of Demons, just, I believe, this past year, and her work has been featured in Sephora, Target, and LA Pride. I had to bring her on here to bring on her perspective, especially as she works and navigates through an industry that I feel like doesn't have a whole lot of Southeast Asian representation. So I'm so glad to have her on here. Alissa, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Bong. Thank you for having me.
Yay.
Happy to be here.
Thanks for coming on. So, as I had mentioned before in the introduction, you grew up in Central Valley. I generally love to start these conversations, quite honestly, especially with other Khmer Americans out there. And I'd love to give the space to kind of talk about what your experience was like growing up, where you grew up, and your relationship with being Cambodian and Khmer.
Oh, man. So, yeah, I grew up in a really small town. Not a lot of Khmer people. I didn't grow up with a lot of Khmer friends, even though I have a lot of cousins, so I guess that helps. But yeah, day to day at school, not a lot of Khmer people. I actually grew up with a lot of, internal self-hate for my culture. I know that's not very unique. I feel like that's kind of like all of us. I feel like we kind of have like a reputation that isn't as, bright as other Asian Americans. Yeah. So like when you introduce yourself and you're like, oh, I'm Cambodian, they're like, oh, they're either like, what's that? Or like, oh, like you're, lower class or like lower socioeconomic status. So I was actually taught to hide the fact that I'm Khmer. So when people ask me, I'm just like, oh, like I'm mixed, or I'm part another Asian, or I'm part another Asian. So that was my experience growing up.
Yeah. And honestly, I really appreciate you bringing that up, because it's actually very similar to my story. Like my dad and mom were basically said, if anybody asks you what you were, just say you're Chinese. And, I mean, we are Chinese if we go back far enough. But, both parents speak Khmer to each other. Both parents were born in Cambodia, and grandma and grandpa. So it always was kind of strange to me that I found out later on in life that actually, there was this dissociation with being Khmer, and that was taught to me kind of at an early age.
Yeah, same. Like there's this whole reputation and like this look that it gives, and we were just taught that it was wrong, and it's not something that I guess like Americans like or like white people like. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's really confusing.
It is. Do you know how to speak Khmer? Yeah,
a little bit. Thank you, Yolban. So like you could talk to me, I'll understand.
Yeah. That's better than me. I can't even, I mean, I can understand, but I can't speak it. So, I think it is a very, very unfortunate but common thing that a lot of second generation Khmer Americans feel, and anybody really within the diaspora, I would imagine, whether it be also in France or Australia or wherever the diaspora went. Talk to me then, you were growing up in Central Valley. There wasn't a whole lot of Cambodian people. It was a struggle for sure with the reputation that was out there. Was there a certain point that you felt like you realized that it was okay and safe to lean into that a little bit more, or is that still a struggle today? Like, what's that journey been like?
Yeah, so I guess my whole life I was scared to tell people I was Khmer until I would say college, because, I've matured a bit. I've really grown into my roots, and I grew like more of an appreciation for my family and where I come from. And I feel like that's everyone once they start to get older and, you know, they're not around like high school kids anymore. So yeah, college. And I actually was introduced to this film called Don't Think I've Forgotten. So that was this documentary about like Khmer music culture in the 60s and 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So once I learned about how like Khmer creativity has been just such a big part of our culture for such a long time. And I guess like Khmer creativity, it goes back really far. I mean, like if you look at the arts, like we've always been artists at our core. If you go back to, you know, all the Watts in the beginning. And I've even heard that the word for artist or art is selapakar, I think, or selapak. And it's the same word for magic or magician.
Wow.
So it's so, my creativity is so embedded in our blood. And then when you look at the 60s, that was like the prime of Khmer original music. So like Sensi Samut, Rasare Satia, like so many iconic Khmer artists came out during the 60s.
Yeah.
And so when I watched that documentary in college, I was like, oh my God, like this, that just like really struck a chord with me. Like I am proud to be Khmer because it shows that all that art and all that art running through like artist blood in my like genetics and my DNA, like that is something to be proud of.
Yeah. And you've always been drawn to creative things, it seems like. You know, it started when you were, 12 years old, even just like taking photos and playing with the camera when you were young. Was that something that you feel like you've always had in you, or was there someone who inspired you to kind of lean into those creative arts?
I feel like it kind of came from myself, honestly.
Yeah.
My family is a lot more corporate than I am. I'm maybe like me and like two other cousins are creative, I would say. But yeah, I guess what got me into it was seeing campaigns and seeing ads and seeing stuff on TV, and we didn't have the representation that I wanted. So I just created it myself. Like, I'm going to recreate a campaign, but I'm going to put me, like a Khmer Southeast Asian woman, in it, essentially.
Yeah, yeah. At what point then? So you go into college, right? And you watch this documentary that really kind of gave you permission to, slowly start being okay with that Khmer identity. How is that tied to maybe your first modeling gig? Did you know that you wanted to model, or what was that transition to being who you are today? What was that first step like?
Yeah, I've always wanted to model since I was a little kid. I just, I guess I didn't think it was super possible for me because, like, I'm short, I'm Asian, I'm from a small
Yeah.
town.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even like the normal what media considers as Asian too. Like, I got curly hair, like I got all these features that aren't even like normal Asian to the
Yeah.
mainstream. And I guess like what got me started, I mean, my dad used to take my pictures as a kid, and I guess that like really got me in my element. Yeah, my dad used to take a lot of pictures of me, used to like have his like camcorder out, and like I would like rombong. Like I have a bunch of like home videos of me as a kid, like dancing around. Like I love playing with like dresses. I love playing with my mom's jewelry and like her makeup. But yeah, real professional modeling didn't come to me until I was already like established with social media,
Mm,
and I was actually scouted through Instagram.
mm,
And I guess I just followed an agency, and then they were like, we'd love to have you in. And then they saw my portfolio that was mostly self portraits, like stuff I've shot myself and styled myself and directed myself. And for most models, they have to have a whole team for that. And so I had this whole portfolio of, yeah, self portraits. And I guess like some pictures that like my friends took of me. And I got signed that way. But I think what's really interesting is that as like a minority model, you have to put in extra work to get access into the industry. Because if you were, for example, like a white conventional model, you don't really need that internal work and that internal background. You can just kind of get scouted on the street and maybe you never thought of modeling, and then you get put in Vogue like the next week. But for a model of color who's, yeah, a minority, I needed that book and I needed that experience to like prove that I'm valuable to the industry to be actually let in. So
Yeah, yeah. And when you were building your social media presence in your platform, you always kind of was it that you always had that in mind that like, okay, this is the back work that I need to be doing and hopefully this will lead to opportunities? Or was it truly honestly just like you were having fun and it landed that way? Like how intentional do you have to be about being scouted?
it was very intentional actually, because I
Mm,
knew that there weren't any opportunities for us.
right.
Um, but at the same time, like I enjoy my job a lot. I love that I get to be paid off of my creativity. Like I get to be an artist for a living, and that was always my goal as a kid. Because I've heard that if you love your job, you never work a day in your life. So once I heard that as a kid, I was like, I need to do something creative. And I also knew, yeah, as a minority, I'm not just going to get scouted on the street. I'm not 6 feet. I'm not blonde. Like I'm not
Mhm.
that look. So I very much intentionally started social media to grow my opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of I think growing up in this day and age, right? Like social
Mm-hmm.
media opens up so many opportunities that I think a lot of people may not have had previously. Obviously, still very much hard work, but it does offer a secondary outlet for some people who really want to get their foot in the door in a different way. What did your parents think about you pursuing this whole
Oh,
thing?
they hated it. I mean, like any Asian parent would probably hate it because it's like, why are you putting yourself out there? And like, why are you so visible? And I also started at the same time as Me Too. So the Me Too movement really
Mm.
shook my parents up. They're like, oh my God, you're going to like get in trouble and bad things are going to happen to you. And of course, like parents always speak from that anxiety versus thinking about like the actual career and the actual future. But yeah, I feel like my parents, once they actually saw results, things changed. I feel
Mhm.
like as an artist or a creative, you have, I guess, such a long way to go from starting out to actual results. So a real campaign or like a real job. So that whole like long journey, they were just very scared for me. And every time I would try to like shoot my own self portraits in the backyard, I would wait till my parents were gone. Like I would wait till I had the house to myself. I'd like hang up a bed sheet. I would like set things up, set up all the flowers all nice, and like do my like yeah whole look. I would take off my makeup before my dad came home. Like it was a hustle. They were not happy to see it. Yeah.
You learned how to set up and take down very, very quickly.
Oh yeah. Very quick. Yeah.
Yeah, because I can imagine that being really, really difficult. Every time I sit in front of another Khmer creative, it is that conversation always is something that you have to overcome. And I think it's quite common, you would think, in traditional just like Asian parents that they come from so much instability that they want
Mhm.
stability for their kids, in whatever capacity that they know of. It must have been really difficult then, I'm sure, for
Yeah.
many years to like continue pushing through and sticking with knowing inside that like this is what you truly wanted. What was that motivation and that drive for you to just like continue going?
Oof. I just knew that by the time that I was in college or like past college, I would have a career. Like I just kept thinking about that career because I'm like, yeah, of course I'm going to go through school and yeah, of course I'm going to go through college and do everything they tell me. But while I'm silently, quietly building, I know that career is like there for me at the end of the degree. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
It's really inspirational to really kind of break out of what everybody maybe tells you to do, especially. And that's why I feel for a lot of the creatives out there because it's a different barrier that you have to push through, I would imagine, because there is so much judgment around that. It's even harder as well as you mentioned because you don't look like the stereotypical model that people are looking for and it is a harder journey. do you have any models that you aspired to be, or who were your inspiration, or was it truly because of the fact that like you just didn't see anyone out there like you and you just knew that that was what you wanted to do?
I would actually say all of my, I guess, like role models growing up were white. Like I would take magazine rippings, like scrapbooks, I put them on my wall, and I wanted to base my work off of stuff that is already real, like in campaigns, in magazines. Yeah, I was just like, I feel like real diversity is when models of color can be in those type of campaigns. And it doesn't look like it's forced or it's like forced diversity. It's just we fit there. Like,
Yeah,
mm.
that's a great point. Can you elaborate that on that a little bit more? Like when you say, what do you mean when you say they fit there and not being forced? I know that we've talked about it a little bit offline before, but if you know what does it mean when you talk about that, especially for people who aren't in the industry?
Well, I feel like a lot of campaigns that are really pushing diversity, and diversity is a beautiful thing. I definitely want more diversity in mainstream media, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's so obvious that you'll look at a campaign and you can totally tell that they were just like, check Asian girl, check Black girl, check, right? And it's like, or check this body type, check this body type. And then that doesn't look like a real friend group, or it doesn't look like, yeah, real people that you would see, like a real group of people you would see on the street. And so when I think about real, genuine diversity, I'm thinking from a wider, a zoomed out lens that's like, okay, campaign. Just think about the campaign in itself and the beautiful image in itself and like that ad. And let's make it naturally diverse and let's make it in a way that the models of color, you don't think about diversity when you look at the image. They just fit in that scene, and that can be expensive, that can be like beautiful, that can be carefree, that she can be aspirational and she can be a part of that, I guess, like that advertisement like landscape without you thinking like, oh, diversity hire.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Do you find that a lot within the industry? How is that like right now? Is it changing slowly or going backwards or
I would say most campaigns I've been on, I do feel like I'm just checking a box. They're just like short, middle skin toned girl who is not white. I feel like that's kind of the role that I'm cast as. For my castings, I'm not even put in the same casting pool as Asian, actually. So when I go to model castings and auditions, most of the rooms that I go to is for ethnically ambiguous. I'm not even put up for as Asian. And usually a casting sheet will have, yeah, like gender, race, age, and then like some example photos. So whenever I see castings for Asian, it's only East Asian. So I'm put into this other group because I'm Southeast Asian that's like mixed with like mixed girls and Latinas, and we're all interchangeable. Like Southeast Asian, Latina, and mixed women are a casting group in itself. And then East Asian is really just labeled as Asian. So when I'm cast for a shoot, it's usually like tall, skinny white girl in the middle, like conventionally pretty, plus size Black girl, and then me to the left, and I'm the other. So right now, most campaigns, it is changing. I would say for more commercial stuff, so like Target, Walmart, Kohl's, like that kind of stuff is very much like diversity, like here's your diverse friend group. And things are changing more, I would say, in the more like luxury or like, I guess, like more upscale space. So where like you will see more women of color or like different body types, but just in a like a more elevated ad.
Yeah, and by themselves even, right?
By themselves, yeah.
I think that's what we're trying to get at. Like, is it an ad full of that's trying to hit all of these colors, or is it an ad that is courageous enough to put a woman of color and only a woman of color right in the center, along with the beauty and the product or whatever it is that they're trying to showcase? But it almost feels like rebellious even
Mm-hmm.
to allow a woman of color or somebody of color to be a standalone, right?
Yeah.
Versus just a accessory to the conventional, if that's
Right.
what you're trying. Yeah, if that's what I'm
Yeah.
understanding. Yeah.
You got it. You got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just a really, really interesting conversation because you also talk about ambiguous, like the word ambiguous. And, I feel like a lot of people have not had the conversation around colorism
Mm.
within the industry. And it's interesting, I feel like, from your perspective as well, because I mean, Southeast Asians are not generally pale like the rest of maybe the other Asians out there, that our skin tone is different. Like we are slightly tanner and we are slightly darker. What are your thoughts in that space? And also, is it something that you feel like you feel the impacts of, like in the industry?
Yeah. Well, when I first started out, the only Asian models I saw were East Asian. So I thought that
Mhm.
I needed to be as light as possible to even be considered to get signed to an agency or to even be considered for real jobs. So I guess in the beginning, I was really conscious about not tanning. And then things change, and I even see a lot of white models and like East Asian models getting fake tans now to,
Mhm.
yeah, fit what's new and like to fit the new trends in modeling. So it's interesting. In the beginning, I was just kind of like focused on, okay, I need to be as like East Asian passing as possible. And now it's kind of like, I don't know, now they're liking more ethnically ambiguous looking people in
Yeah.
general.
Yeah.
So I started to just embrace my tan. Sometimes I will fake tan, honestly. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, things change. It's really strange. Like people can't just like stick to their natural features. You kind of have to morph because the industry will change. Yeah.
To give people a timeline, so you graduated, what year did you graduate and how long have you been in the industry so far?
I started in 2020 at
Okay.
19, so during COVID. And yeah, the industry changes, I would say, like even month to month or season to season.
It's been what, 6 years since COVID. So it's interesting to see, even within like that 6 year period, what you're saying is like when you started during COVID versus now, there is already like shifts. And I would imagine like this shift towards wanting more or allowing more, ambiguous looking woman, maybe darker, tanner, is actually like quite healing for you. Like, I would imagine. Does it feel like you have a sense of responsibility almost to kind of lean into the tan, and because it's the space is allowing for it at this time? Like, what does it feel like, and what sense of responsibility, if any, as you're like navigating through this like very delicate industry?
Responsibility. I do feel some sort of responsibility to be, I guess, like an internet big sister to younger Southeast Asian women.
Yeah.
And I do see the messages, I do see the comments that, make my heart so happy. Yeah, I've gotten some messages that are from younger Khmer American women, and they're just like, oh my God, like I saw your face in Sephora. And it's like, it feels so good to see a Khmer face in a mainstream store and a store that kind of sets the beauty standards. So,
Yeah.
yeah. It also doesn't feel like these brands are purposefully, intentionally highlighting Southeast Asian women. It kind of just feels like I'm there to make them look inclusive and to like broaden their reach to other women who look like me. But
Hmm.
they're also not intentionally trying to position me as a Southeast Asian woman as like a beauty standard or like to make me look particularly powerful.
Hmm.
I'm just kind of there as an inclusivity thing for them.
Hmm.
Not that they don't like enjoy working with me genuinely, but I know I am there to broaden their reach, I would say.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it was I guess, up to you. In what ways would you hope that the industry would change? And do you think that, I guess it's hard to say if it's even possible. I mean, we don't know what the future holds, but if you were to make some changes to the industry, what would it be, would you say?
Oh, this is so much power. I've never thought about this because I accept things for what they are. And I already know that I have disadvantages and I just got to push through it. So I've never actually thought about this.
Yeah.
But if I were to change things, like I guess bringing it back to casting, I would be more specific with the casting. I wouldn't really talk about ethnically ambiguous. I would be like, hey, I want this campaign to really spotlight this group of women, or I want this campaign to really have this group and that group, and but not in like a cherry picking diversity way, but from a creative standpoint where like, oh, this type of woman would look so good with this makeup or like this hair, and like it fits that campaign.
Essentially giving the power back to the woman for who they actually are, right? And not trying to take them and putting them into a box, but allowing them to be and honoring the beauty, the individuality of whoever that person is, right?
Right. And then also I wouldn't even just change the casting. I would honestly change more stuff behind the scenes. So like the producers, the directors, the creative team, we need to have more women of color in that space because they're the ones planning out these campaigns and shaping media and shaping the beauty standard.
Yeah.
So we need more women who look like us in the client seat. When I first started in 2020, most of the women hiring me and casting me, and I was taking like interview like agency meetings with and castings with, a lot of them are older white women who see me and they're just like, oh, like you're such a cute little Asian girl. And they would actually talk to me like that. And I'm like, I'm a grown woman. Or like you have such a cute little face, or like you're such a cute little dumpling. And I'm like, okay, weird. Talk to me like a human. Yeah, so I think those people, we definitely need more diversity behind the scenes because they're the ones controlling things and hiring the models for these campaigns.
Yeah, and making the decisions and really people who have the power to dictate who really is going to be in the center of the campaign or how the campaign is going to feel and look. And no, I completely understand that. I think it's just so cool that you get to be in this space, really. As I mentioned, and probably as so many girls who have DM'd you, it's like so rare to find someone of Southeast Asian descent in like a big campaign as Sephora and like all these other ones. Fenty, you've also worked with them as well. You've had to probably navigate the space in a way that like you represent the Khmer culture, and you do mention that you are Southeast Asian. You put that on your page, but as you said, because the modeling and the industry don't necessarily filter specifically for Southeast Asians, and once you say that you're Southeast Asian, you're kind of put in a different category, right? How does that impact your journey with your identity, if at all? And I know that's a hard question, but I'm imagining it just kind of makes you feel like you're floating in between, right? A lot of the times.
I mean, I feel like it motivates me to be even prouder and to really tell people about my culture. So yeah, I just have to be louder and like take up more space and be like, yeah, I'm Southeast Asian, I'm Khmer, I'm Cambodian, my parents are from Cambodia. I have to always be constantly educating people and constantly telling people my background. I just have to be even louder.
You mentioned before this interview, when we discussed that you had really incredible experience traveling back to Cambodia. Talk to me about that. Was that your first trip going back to Cambodia? And what was that homecoming experience like?
Emotional, very emotional. That was my first time going by myself as an adult. I went once as a teenager with my family, but they are very cautious. I feel like a lot of my parents, like, they're just like, oh, it's so scary. Like, we're not going to leave our hotel. So
Yeah.
when I went by myself, I made friends so fast. Like, I actually met so many Khmer Americans living there and like Khmer Australians and Khmer Barang living there. And it was just
Right.
so good, like, just for my soul. People are so welcoming, and it's interesting because as a Khmer American, you get to live in that expat space, but also in that local space. So it's just
Yeah.
both parts of like your Western and Eastern sides are very like socially nourished. Like people really do take care of you. Yeah, I cried the first time I landed. Like when I,
Oh.
oh my God, when I got out of the airport and into my tuk-tuk and on my way to the hotel, I was like just taking it in, and I was looking at like the markets and the people, and I just felt like that I felt homesick. Like I've been homesick for so long. It's so hard to articulate this because I've never even been to Phnom Penh. Like when I went with
Mm.
my family, we only went to Angkor Wat. We didn't go to the actual like city that my family's from. My family's from Phnom Penh. So when I went
Mm.
there and I just like soaked it up, and I hear Khmer being spoken, and it's just like it felt like everything was home. Like everything just felt at home for me. Like the heat, like the humidity, the language, like everything was like, oh my God, like I didn't know that I missed this place so much, and yet I've never been here.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What was the driving factor to going and traveling there by yourself?
Well, one, I just wanted the experience because I'm young. I feel like that trip actually matured me so fast. Yeah, it was just like, I'm young. I need to experience solo international travel. And I actually recommend to all young women, like, you need to take an international solo trip because that's just going to, yeah, mature you and just give you so much perspective. And it'll just empower you to be independent and to, yeah, just like take care of yourself. And you also learn how to be more social, and you just handle things on your own.
Yeah.
um, yeah, for that reason. And then two, I'm actually creating a collection with my friend Camilla. She owns the brand Nari,
Mm-hmm.
Nary, named after her mom, Nari.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was just like, I'm gonna be out there. Do you want to come and like go to the market and pick out some dead stock fabric for your collection? So we're creating like a cute little like travel petite like clothing collection. Yeah, for women
Yeah.
like us. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Camilla, I've met Camilla before. She's incredible. I love what the company stands for and what she's doing out there. And it's so cool too to like watch the Khmer creatives really come together and support one another. I think for the
Mhm.
longest time there's has been this narrative maybe from the older generation that like we don't support one another, and a
Mhm.
lot of that really does I believe stems from the war, from the from my roots,
Yeah.
a time when people really couldn't depend on one another, and that not trusting people was actually a survival tactic for that time period, right? But
Yeah.
I think it's really, really amazing to see how like that's slowly changing within this new generation in this space, like us supporting one another, us leaning into our creative talents and allowing the space for each other to really shine. You mentioned to me that also, funnily, when you were there in Cambodia, that you had, having a background being in the makeup and beauty space, that it was very interesting what the scene
Hmm.
was out there in Cambodia. Can you talk to me a little bit about what you learned about the beauty space out there?
Right. So I was around for the first time in my life Khmer Cambodians, like actual Khmer, not like Khmer Americans, not diaspora
Yeah,
Khmer.
right.
So it was really interesting to see what their beauty standard looked like. I feel like for
Mm.
us, we were very influenced by, I guess, like the white beauty standard and Eurocentric features. But over there, the beauty standard is really the Korean beauty standard and the East
Mm.
Asian beauty standard. So there are girls who look 100% Khmer doing makeup for features that are Korean. And so that's also, yeah, back to colorism. They would use foundation that is maybe 5 shades lighter than their actual skin tone. And I'm like, girl, like you have such a beautiful tan olive skin tone. Why are you lightening it? And why is your face a different color from your neck? Like you're
Yeah.
so beautiful. Why are you covering it?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then same thing with the shades that they would use. It wasn't like, I feel like for our skin tone, what really suits us is more like reddish, brownish, those sort of shades, but they were using like bright coral and very vibrant pink.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that was so interesting because that is a very Korean and Japanese inspired look. And
Mm-hmm.
then same thing with the dimensions in our face. I feel like we have more angular features. We have more dimension to our bone structure, more higher cheekbones. We have like a complete different nose from East Asians as well, and they would do makeup that's like the straight eyebrow. When I
Mm-hmm.
know you have an arch, like I know you have arched brows,
Embrace
but
the
yeah,
art. It's okay.
exactly, yeah, embrace the arch. Like that is, you have a beautiful heart shaped face, and yeah, I guess it's another version of I guess like internalized self hate too, because it's like I feel like we have an internal hierarchy as Asians, whereas like the
Mm-hmm.
darker Southeast Asian beauty is like valued less than like, oh, rich girl, Nat Meehan, saw school. Like, I feel like we kind of put ourselves lower and try to imitate that when, yeah, I was just like, oh my God, these girls are so beautiful. Like, you really should be doing makeup. I mean, like, it's just my opinion, but you should be doing makeup that embraces your natural features and makes you feel confident as you are versus imitating features of another Asian ethnicity.
Yeah. Was it something that you saw just like out and about when you
Mhm.
saw the girls that were around, or did you, I mean, that's also reflected, I'm assuming, on like the billboards that you saw out there?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
I think like the first time I saw a bunch of just young girls was I went to a Van Dyke concert. So
Mm.
I was like, oh, this is the time where all the gongmai like dress up in their nicest fits and like do their makeup. So I was really interested to see what's like trendy and what's cool and what's the makeup style out there, what's like the fashion style out there. And
Yeah.
yeah, the first time I saw like a bunch of girls with like their makeup all done was yeah, Van Dyke concert. Very, very bright, vibrant colors, very light skin, straight eyebrows. Yet I feel like they even made their lips look thinner too. I guess like they would cover their lips, and I'm like, you have such full, beautiful lips. Like, and yeah, all the billboards are obviously very photoshopped to be super white,
Mm.
and yeah, it's just really interesting. Also, yeah, I see a lot of like, yeah, straight hair, super white, some plastic surgery. I could tell, like, oh, she got a nose job. She probably had a beautiful wide nose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, billboards, the mall, and all the makeup stores kind of had that same kind of plastic looking, super pale look. Yeah, and the makeup stores there, I would go in and ask, like, I want to try actual Khmer owned beauty brands. And most of the makeup they had there were Korean
Mm.
or Thai, mostly Korean though. They mostly had Korean makeup. There were a few Khmer owned brands, but I feel like they're still in development and their
Yeah.
formulas aren't, I guess, like to our like Western standard.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I wonder if it's always been that way, or if it's something that maybe you had noticed, especially since you come from the industry. But I wonder if it's always just been that way, and it's a very, very interesting conversation to navigate around, right? Because as you mentioned, it does have a little bit of that hierarchy, I believe,
Mhm.
where people feel that if you are lighter skinned, that you are of higher class, and if you are
Mhm.
darker skinned, you are lower. What did seeing that kind of inspire you to do? And I don't know if you're willing to talk about your future projects. What did that kind of bring up for you when you saw all that in Cambodia?
Right. So obviously, I was like, there's barely any Khmer-owned beauty brands. I should just start one myself. And
ta-da,
yeah,
everybody.
yeah, that's cooking. That's in the making.
It's cooking, guys. It's cooking.
Yeah, it's cooking. Like I said, I want to see more women of color and Southeast Asian women in particular behind the scenes. So I was like, man, like when I first started out modeling, my inspiration when I actually entered the industry were the women hiring me, were the women setting up the campaigns and making all the mood boards. So I was like, I feel like we need more of us on that back end, like on the other side, and then we can hire more Southeast Asian models and really represent ourselves in a way that's empowering, and we are the beauty standard. Yeah, so I was very inspired. I definitely wanted to make formulas that are suited for our skin tone, that isn't going to look ashy or super bright and like pink and clowny. I'm sorry. But, yeah, natural. That helps us embrace our features instead of hiding them. And there's also a lifestyle component to it. I am making makeup that is easy to use on the go. So very fitted to a busy, powerful Khmer woman's lifestyle. I just feel like Southeast Asian women, we have so much responsibility in our lives. Like a lot of us have been caretakers already. We are like mini therapists for our parents. We translate for our parents. We do all these things in our lives that make us so strong and so capable. We're doing that along with like juggling an education, a career, and we're just busy. And it's not like we're going to sit down and do like a whole like glam beat every day. So I wanted makeup that's very, easy on the go. You can do it in a tuk-tuk, because I was definitely doing my makeup in a tuk-tuk and like scribbling all over my face. And I'm like, boo, hold on. Like, oh my God. Like, so yeah, tuk-tuk friendly and Uber friendly, because this is for girls in the States and girls in Khmer. So Uber friendly, plane friendly, tuk-tuk friendly, easy, could like blend with your fingers. That's like my concept. And then branding wise, I wanted it to really speak to Southeast Asian diaspora storytelling. Yeah, so a lot of, I guess, like Pan Am imagery, a lot of, I guess that's the airline that a lot of our parents came on when they fled to the States.
Wow,
so I want to pull from a lot of, Pan Am imagery. I'd say like late 70s, early 80s nostalgia. I wanted more vintage tech and like vintage school supplies, like 80s tech that our parents learned English on. Wow. So yeah, the branding is going to really speak to nostalgia specifically for Khmer and Southeast Asian American women. So, and the same thing with Don't Think I've Forgotten. That documentary gave me a lot of inspiration, because I feel like even when I went to Khmer, there was a lot of late 70s, even like 60s, late 70s nostalgia. A lot of like Cincy Samut records on the wall, a lot of like cafes disguised as like 60s diners. And I was like, oh wow, like what's cool there and what's nostalgic and like what's, I guess like trendy is that golden era time. That golden era time when like, our Thaz and Yays were like out dancing. So I kind of want to mix that era with when our parents first came to the US and started learning English. So the storytelling, I wanted to tie in all those things. I know it's like very like messy in my head, but it'll make sense. I just want it to speak to us in a nostalgic and in an aspirational future way too, with the responsibilities and the capabilities and the empowerment that we have now as like first generation in the States.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love the way you described just like Khmer woman of the diaspora and the weight that we have to carry. It's something that I feel like our generation is just now slowly starting to talk about and feeling comfortable talking about. I know that even for myself, there is a lot of guilt associated with even talking about our own problems, considering our parents who had gone through so much, And so, but the reality is, it is our experience and it is true. And there is so much that we feel like we've had to carry at such a young age. The translation, we're therapists, we're translators, we were adults before we were adults. And that's a lot, the majority, I feel like, of people in the diaspora who've had to experience some level of that. And so I love that, being able to like create something that's for the Khmer girlies. We are strong. We are so incredible. Like when
We're
I sit
doing so
down,
much.
yeah, we do so much. We deserve something for ourselves and to feel beautiful and strong in it, right? Like
Exactly.
I love all the aspects that you have kind of going in this project. And from a business perspective and just in general, like, are you finding manufacturers right now? And like, what are some of your non-negotiables when you go through putting this project together?
Oh, yeah. I've been talking to a manufacturer. I've been very clear about what I want in my products. I'm very
Mm.
specific. As a beauty creator and like a beauty model, I'm always like trying new products every day. So I'm always like, okay, I like this thing about it, or I like this formula, I like this shade. I'm always trying stuff. So I'm like constantly in talks and constantly sending them samples, and it's building. It's building. It's been I think a little bit over a year since I went to Sukmai and had that idea. So
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm so excited for when your product actually launches. You definitely have to let us know. I'm truly inspired by like the journey that you've been on, Alissa. Like, first, to try to get into an industry that you don't see anybody within, to try to break through, even though your features are not exactly what is conventional, to make it, and then also to continue and taking that passion, especially as you travel, to create something that's going to inspire women to just be themselves, and giving people that permission to be themselves in whatever beauty standard there is something about allowing somebody to just to be who they are and allowing that be the beauty, right?
yeah. I mean, everyone's unique like features and like unique beauty is really their strength. Like you don't really need to copy anyone else's. Just lean into what you have. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
If you can go back to your younger self,
Oh,
if you
yeah.
can go back to right before COVID, after all it was you learned in the industry and what you've gone through, and also just the way that you've tried to navigate this industry with authenticity, what is something you would tell your past self?
Yeah, never stop. Keep going. Talk to everybody on set. Shake hands with everybody you meet. And always focus on genuine human connection with other people.
Mm. I know that there's a lot of girls out there who are listening to this podcast episode, and they are going to get so much value out of the conversation that we've had. It really is truly inspiring to see what you've done, and I can't wait to see what you go and create. We need more creatives, more Khmer creatives out there. There's not that many of us out there. A lot of the times I don't really consider myself one, but
I mean, you're doing this.
I'm so curious. I'm a curious Khmer girl. So I love sitting down and chatting with all you guys, and it truly is like so much fun to me just to interview and give you guys this space. But I think when I look at the space, I think about how so much of the art has been lost, and the few people who are courageous enough out there to lean into their creativity and to take up space in this time. It's something we need more of, because we are truly building the archive from scratch, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, we're healing that because to be an artist back during the war and to be an independent free thinker, like
Yeah.
you would lose your life for that. I feel like now we need to stop being afraid to be unique and to be creative. We just need to rebuild that really from scratch.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so keep doing what you're doing. Alissa, I'm so excited to see where you go with this project of yours. I will be the first one to buy your foundation and blush when it comes out.
I don't know about foundation yet. I would say like blush and like a multi-use
Stick.
eyeliner, contour, lip liner.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, especially as you
Yeah.
lean into something that you can like do on the go, right?
Exactly. Because
Yeah.
we don't have time for that. We have to manage
That's true.
our yays
Foundation
and pads.
takes too much. Takes extra work and other tools. We want something simple.
Yeah. Who knows, though? Who knows?
Well, Alissa, thank you. Where can people find you if they wanted to find you, get a hold of you?
Okay, so I am on Instagram and TikTok at Alissa, ALISSA .IRIS. And I think my YouTube is Iris, IRIS .Alissa, ALISSA. And I'm also on Substack. I write a little paper called Muse to Muse, and I'm also turning that into a talk show of my own, also called Muse to Muse, where I talk to just other creative women in general. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well,
obviously, I want to highlight more Southeast Asian women, but creative women in general.
Yeah. No, well, I appreciate you coming on today, Alissa. Thank you so much for sharing about your journey, your experience as you navigate your identity, as you navigate this industry. All of us are rooting behind you. I can't wait to see what you come up with and what you create. We are all back here, all us Khmer women behind you as you go and kind of embark on this journey. It feels like a love letter, truly, that you're creating something that really, really speaks to the Khmer women out here who are doing so much, as you mentioned, and we deserve to feel beautiful in the process, don't we?
We do. Yeah.
Thank you
so much.